Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back on the channel from Fabrizio. Today I'm showing you our conversation with Jan Aage Fjortoft. He was my guest on Twitch to discuss everything about Erling Haaland future. So what's next for him? What's the position of Erling Haaland team? What's the situation with Mino Raiola? And with every single team interested in him. He knows a lot about it. He's former football player. He's Norwegian, so he has good contacts around this Haaland story. And so let's talk about it with Jan Aage Fjortoft. And remember, guys, to subscribe to my channel every single day with a new content. So I wait for you and enjoy this chat with Jan Aage Fjortoft about Erling Haaland future.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure. Now, what I said about Bayern, I don't know if Erling Haaland will go to Bayern. That is not the case. That's not what I'm discussing. But I've followed Bayern Munich since Uli Hoeneß took over, and that is like 100 years ago. And Bayern have always the same tactic. They play a good and bad cup. They send some people out and say that we're not interesting, and then other people work hard to get him. It's understandable that they do it this way, and it's not like a criticism of Bayern Munich having that strategy, because that could be a smart strategy, what they're doing. If you see in this special case with Erling Haaland, they send out Karl-Heinz Rummenigge always out and say that today he went out and said, I'm not sure we need him anyway, because the way we're playing is much better to Lewandowski. And I have to note, it's a very... this weekend, our friend Christian Falk, he put up a big headline in the papers where I said that if Salihamidzic and Oliver Kahn not going after Erling Haaland, they should be fired. That was the headline in Bild Zeitung, but I mean it, because if Bayern Munich never or didn't go for the best talent there is in the Bundesliga, of course they do. But I can understand the difficulty at Bayern at the moment, because you have the best number 9 since Marco van Basten, who's breaking every record. He broke another record this weekend from Gerd Müller in number of goals in a year. So they have to keep him happy as well. And if you have a look at Robert Lewandowski, and if you see him, you see that he's getting a bit frustrated, which is understandable, because he breaks every record, but still the papers only write about someone who's going to come and replace him. So I understand this is difficult for Bayern Munich. But Bayern Munich, are they in to get Erling Haaland? Of course they are. Because on one hand, the probability that Erling Haaland will transfer inside Bayern, we will put that behind the English clubs, the two Spanish clubs, PSG. We will put it behind that as an alternative. But still, Bayern got to try, because Bayern need to get the best talents in Germany to them, because they don't have the money to buy the superstars like these other clubs, especially the Premier League clubs, can do. So they have to be after him. On one hand, they have to try to get him and still just not make sure that next summer they have a frustrated Robert Lewandowski who says, listen, I am in my age, I have to have another club. And then they have no striker, because it's hard for Bayern Munich to make this balance. So that's why they're doing this double communication, as I call it. In one hand, you have the good cop, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, and then you had Salihamidzic, Oliver Kahn, that probably working intense to try to get in a position to get Erling Haaland. And what can they tempt him with? I mean, when we've seen the Team Haaland strategy the last years, there's always went for development of the player. So, I mean, what they can tempt him with, probably in other clubs they can pay more money, but they can say to him, we will always be there for the Champions League. We will always be top 4, more or less around. We can win it one year or be in the final another year. So he will have titles and everything, but they have a great coach in Julian Nagelsmann. But I think, and just to make sure about that, boys, I don't think there is anyone in the world right now, and I include the papa or the son, they don't know where Erling Haaland will play the next season. Because I think that is too premature to say, because you don't know where will MBAPPÉ go, will Pep Guardiola stay, probably will, and so on. Will there be spaces available, and so on and so on. But that clubs like Bayern are ruled out, that is just nonsense. And I saw another report saying the other day that was also from the German side. They said that the only club that were in position to sign Manchester United, it was Manchester United. And that is just stupid as well, because every big club in the world wants to sign Erling Haaland. First of all, Team Haaland, I always say Team Haaland, that's because they have always shown that they are good at taking on the good people to different help or position. Alfie Haaland is a very clever man. He knows what he can do, and he knows where he needs help to do. And that's why he got Mino Raiola, who is the best in his profession. And this thing that Bayern can't do this with Raiola, Manchester City can't do this, Manchester United wouldn't do with Raiola. At the same time, they said that they were putting their manager on the plane, going to Salzburg to try to convince him to go to Manchester United. So that is, for me, just nonsense. Raiola could sell anyone. The clubs will take anyone from Raiola if they got him. I have never seen a player complaining about Raiola. That is a surprise. I mean, it's always the football clubs. Yeah, and I think that your listeners should listen to the following. Have a look. The clubs that don't get one of his players, they always say we have a problem with Raiola, and that is just the way that they are building on the. Raiola got his style. I love Raiola because I think that he makes entertainment. It's so funny. I think that the way he goes forward, the ways he does an interview, it's great. But I also know that the people in and around Erling Haaland, there is a good mixture. Because Alfie Haaland is a more the quiet one. He's just in a back row and everything. He will have his conversation. Raiola will do his thing. But just notice as Alfie Haaland or Erling Haaland, they haven't said anything about any new clubs. Yes, there were that travel to Spain that everybody saw, but I think that the people should be aware of the troubles that you don't see. Alfie Haaland and his team, they will work all the time. And Raiola is an entertainer as well as a great agent. So if you see that Manchester United, if they don't get Haaland, they will say, "Now we didn't want to do business with Raiola." If Bayern Munich won't get Haaland, they will say, "Oh, he's too expensive, typical Raiola." And some of the press, they are buying this all the time. And so that won't be any problem. That is just spin for me. Well, I think, firstly, you have to have respect of the club that Erling Haaland is at the moment in Dortmund. And Team Haaland has always been respectful over the clubs they've been at. I mean, we can discuss the clause there or a clause here. But we remember Dortmund also got Erling Haaland on a clause from Salzburg. So it's fair enough that of course that is a possibility. On a question, is that a possibility? Yes, of course, because he's there and you need someone also to fulfill this clause. What I would have been a bit worried if I was a Dortmund fan, saying that you have a little hope that he will keep on. But if you saw the two last games, Greuther Fürth again and Hertha Berlin, there was some bad body language, not only by Erling Haaland, but the rest of the team that were very positive for Dortmund. But still, I think Raiola makes his sense, and I think it is also what Alfie Haaland and his team want. They don't want to be. They don't want to leave Dortmund. They want to go to another club. So if you understand the balance, so if they leave Dortmund, they're always respectful, and I can only see what they're saying, and that they always speak highly of Salzburg. They always speak highly of Molde, who was a big part of his development, and so on and so on. And I'm sure they will do this time as well. And that Raiola said that, I think that is the part of the philosophy of Team Haaland, and it is a respectful also about the club that is at the moment is 9 points behind Bayern. So I don't think you should you don't have to kick someone who is lying down. No, I think that the big thing about the Real Madrid, I mean, if we know the history of football, it's all about, we're talking about it maybe as a cliche, these Galacticos and so on and so on. Do I think that Mbappé, Benzema and Haaland can play together? Absolutely. I think that is a wet dream of Perez, that he have the best players and they will find some money. In the worst period, they had no money. They signed Alaba. They signed players. They always find money. Why is Watzke saying that? I'm not sure. There is always politics. Maybe it is to annoy Bayern. I don't know. I think in general, if you see all the parties around here talking about what's happening in season 22-23 for Erling Haaland, the only ones who say nothing is Papa and the son. Raiola is doing his interviews. Watzke is doing his interviews. Karl-Heinz Rummenigge now got his daily talk show when he's talking about Erling Haaland. It's quite interesting that Bayern so interested in a player that they're not interested in. But that is a part of it. Real Madrid, of course, will be there. I think that is the usual suspects. I think strategically, it's maybe a thing that if I was the advisor of Erling Haaland, I would think, which time of his career is it good to go to the different countries? Is it good? I'm 100% sure that it was right of him going to Dortmund and not to Manchester a couple of years ago, because I think that he needed that next step, and he has shown that he has taken another step now. The latest thing is now his heading abilities, which is fantastic, and he can be very good. Should you go there as a young player to England, or should you be more robust when you come to England? But what we have learned, what we have learned last year is that Erling Haaland can play anywhere. He can play at Saturn, he can play at Mars, he can play everywhere. And he's grown into a very strong player. He's a good header over the ball. So I think that now it's very open where he goes. There is no country that is excluded because of his abilities or of his maturity. Some part of this, the last months, he has been carrying the Dortmund team alone. He's been a makeup for the terrible defense they're having, and he has more or less saved them. So I don't think that would be a big problem. Well, it's a good analysis, because I think that's when I always say that MBAPPÉ is the key. It's not only that will he move, it's also can they play together. I think that when you saw in the beginning of the season, it looked like MBAPPÉ, he didn't want to adjust to Messi, he didn't want to adjust to being like the third most wanted player at PSG. I think that the last 2 months you've seen a change in MBAPPÉ. I think he looks more hungry now. He looks more that the young, ambitious guy that we saw at Monaco and also at the beginning at PSG. So I think that depends on the players, what they think. Maybe, I mean, if I were PSG, I would go to a player saying, you have the chance to play with Messi. Will you do that? You will do it or not? Or you think, well, that's fantastic. I can do that for 1 or 2 seasons. So you could see the possibilities that when they talk about this with Real Madrid being the bridge builder, they can say, we want to do the same thing that we did with when we had Beckham, when we had Zidane, when we had Figo, and so on and so on. We want to do this. We want to reign Europe again. We want you to be a part of that project, and so on and so on. So that is interesting. And I think there need to be conversations about that. Not only that the show part of it is going to be hard, but it's also the part on the pitch. Because if you have Benzema wants to score his 25, 30 goals, Erling Haaland wants to, and Benzema wants to do that, MBAPPÉ wants to do that. But we know when 3 players come like this, they will kind of share their goals between them. They have tried this before. They had Bale, they have Cristiano Ronaldo, they have Benzema. But somehow that time, the roles were kind of, they were given. The Cristiano Ronaldo was the number 1, so everybody was there for him to score his 40-plus goals every season. When MBAPPÉ, and that's why it's interesting, your views, Fab, because MBAPPÉ and Erling Haaland are more or less on the same level in their career and their age limit, so it's harder. So I think that will be a key factor that I think the different camps need to, discuss with themselves, and if it comes in the practical terms, maybe they have to sit together, if that's possible to do. And this is just everything here is my personal view on it. It's like you always have a feeling that the Spanish club somehow landed on their feet when it comes to financial thing. But I think that we've seen a big change now. I'm not sure that the governments or the local governments will just see through their fingers and just say, okay, let's start all over again. And it looks also like that La Liga, the government of La Liga, is very aware that these clubs can do this unsustainability kind of planning anymore. But of course, what will Barcelona, they will tempt them to say, you can be the big one here, you can take us back to the glory days and everything. And then it's all up to Team Haaland to see. Well, there is a big difference for me then to go to Barcelona. That is a hard shout, because I think that when you are 22 or getting into the 22nd year, I think that he will have the same problem as a lot of what Dortmund have, the problem that how long can you keep Bellingham if you don't win titles? How long can you beat Haaland, Reina, and what they all call? Because you want to win title. And I think that if you then go to a new club, one of the main things that you want to see is that can they compete for the big titles? And the titles are, yes, the domestic leagues, but the big one is the Champions League. Everybody wants to win the Champions League. MBAPPÉ will never go to Real Madrid if he didn't have a chance to win the Champions League. I mean, so that is the big one. And I think that is the big point also for Bayern, because you know that Bayern, that they will be up there despite oil, gas, and Middle East countries. Bayern will be up there. And will Barcelona do that? I mean, that is hard to see just right now. Well, I think that, first of all, some lazy journalists, we always tend, and I say we because we are all sometimes lazy maybe, so I don't want to be too hard on people. But if there comes a new manager in, suddenly everybody that you used to train or coach, you're in for them. Later today, there was some couple of players that Rangnick wanted to have because he had them in Leipzig. And we know, maybe true, maybe not. But of course, Manchester United have shown, and they've shown that with Cristiano Ronaldo as well. I mean, you can say whatever you want about Cristiano Ronaldo, but it's a massive signing. It's a massive signing for a club like Manchester United, who is a world global brand, to get the most popular. I'm not talking about best or not best, because that Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, that is always going on. But you get Cristiano Ronaldo, and of course, Manchester United would see that Erling Haaland will be perfect for them, because they won't get Mbappé, so that is Erling Haaland is the other one of the young generation. So of course Ralf Rangnick would see him going there. It's also interesting to see that sometimes I think people underestimate Team Haaland because his dad played for Leeds United, Manchester City, and Nottingham Forest, and two of them are enemies of Manchester United, so to say. Don't underestimate Alfie Haaland. Alfie Haaland will do what's best for his son. If the best thing for his son is to go to a club like Manchester United, he will go there. If his best thing is to go to Real Madrid, he will do that. So Manchester United, again, if Manchester United, of course, they should go for Erling Haaland. That they will, and they will. Of course, they will. I don't know if he goes there, but of course, they're in for him. Ralf Rangnick now got to show that Manchester United got to be in the top four. Because I think that any club that is not in the Champions League have no chance to get a big player. Thank you, and thanks for having me on, boys. It's always a pleasure.